Stephen A. Smith joins us. He has long been a guy. And Stephen A., I don't know if you were able to hear my conversation with Pascal, but one of the things he said was, okay, well then I'll just let you know, one of the points he made was that he said there's no pressure tonight. And I said, how do you make game one of the NBA Finals a no pressure situation? But he was spectacular. Gasol was great, and he was great on the defensive end. What was your impression of the way this game was won? Is it a Raptors defense? Is it Siakam? For you, the headline here is what?
Well, I think it was the combination of the Raptors defense and the fact that Andre Iguodala was absolutely no factor whatsoever offensively. He was helping to play good defense on Kawhi Leonard, but offensively, he was a no-show, and that's not something that you can bank on for the Golden State Warriors to win a championship. Toronto's defense was absolutely exceptional. Pascal Siakam hit 14 of 17 shots, got open on the break, got some baskets on the break, but also was driving to the basket with vigor, was trying to make things happen. Marc Gasol came in the game. When he was in the game, Nick Nurse made sure to get him the basketball. He scored 20 points, hit 6 of his 10 shots. But the key thing for me is Toronto's size, their ability to switch, and their ability to double obviously was a very, very significant factor. When Golden State doubled Kawhi Leonard, other guys stepped up. When the Toronto Raptors doubled Steph Curry, virtually no one stepped up. Klay Thompson may have had 21 points, may have hit 8 of 17 shots and what have you, but where was anybody else? Iguodala wasn't making shots. Draymond Green wasn't making shots. Obviously, there was no one else to speak of that was really making shots for the Golden State Warriors, and I expected Andre Iguodala, a person that was going to have a multitude of open shots available to him, to be more of an offensive factor. He was not, and that was very, very surprising. So as far as I'm concerned, that was obviously a big factor. You're going to have to get some help for Steph Curry and Klay Thompson in order to win this series.
Toronto is a team that clearly has played its best basketball in these last 5 games. They found something against Milwaukee. They rode it to these finals. And now, riding the emotion of an incredible crowd, they play a great game. How sustainable, Stephen A., do you feel like what we saw tonight was? Because we know how drastically things can change. But do you feel like tonight is a repeatable performance for the Raptors?
Well, I don't think it's a repeatable performance if Golden State is making shots. Remember, I just pointed out how Steph Curry had 34 points, hit all 14 of his free throws. You look at Klay Thompson, he contributed 21 points.
Right.
Nobody else really stepped up and provided anything offensively, and they were still within striking distance within the last 5 minutes of the game.
Agreed.
So take that into consideration, understanding that, again, can you rely on Pascal Siakam to score 32 points? I don't think so. Can you rely on Marc Gasol to score 20 points? I don't think so. But I do think the key is, number one, you can depend on the 15 points that Van Vliet gave you, and you can depend on somebody else giving you some kind of offensive contribution, which basically means if you're the Golden State Warriors, somebody has to step up on the offensive side of the ball and help out Steph and Klay. Give me about 15 points, whether you're Iguodala, you're Livingston, you're Looney, anybody that you can find. Well, give me something offensively.
Well, they got a guy that wears number 35 that, if he can put the jersey on at some point, obviously changes things drastically. I mean, when and if. I wonder, Stephen A., I mean, look, he came with him, and all I could do was connect the dots in my mind and think, well, maybe this means he's available for game 2 if necessary. I mean, tonight showed that was necessary. I wonder, and I'm only guessing and talking out loud to you, whether this ramps up the desire for Golden State to say, look, can you give us something tonight? Do you think that conversation takes place? No?
No, not before game 2. I think it could potentially take place before game 3 at the Oracle next Wednesday, but I don't think it's necessary to take place before then. I think if somebody had hit shots tonight other than Steph Curry and a little bit from Klay Thompson, other than those two, if somebody had hit shots, I think Golden State still would have won this game. So I think you come back for game 2 understanding that somebody needs to provide something offensively. Get out, practice, shoot 200, 300 jump shots a day for all I care. Figure out something to make a contribution on the offensive side of the ball, and I think they will be fine. But let's not disrespect Toronto. They're obviously a great team. They're a great defensive team. They've got size. They've got athleticism. They know how to play collective defense. These guys know what they're doing. But Golden State had its opportunities despite everything that I'm pointing out about how great Toronto's defense was. It still were in striking distance. It's just that nobody really showed up to help out Steph and Klay. That simple.
All right, think of this last answer as a tweet. You only have but 200 characters. How good was the environment that you were in tonight in Toronto?
Electric. inside and outside. Actually, outside was better than inside, and inside was electric. That good enough for you?
Perfect. Hit send. See you in the morning. Thank you, Stephen A. Appreciate you.
All right, my man.
Thank
no
you,
problem.
Stephen A. Smith. All right, you see, the most consecutive wins against the Warriors against in the Steve Kerr era. I always say it that way just because he makes fun of the Steve Kerr era. The Cavaliers got 4. Raptors 3-0 this year. Now, look, regular season, I never care. Kawhi didn't play out by the band. They still crushed him. Remember? He didn't even play and they crushed him. Whatever. 1-0 right now. That's what matters. But they have won 3 in a row this year. All right.
50% shooting for the home team. They knocked down 13 threes and played consistently great defense against the Warriors tonight, who managed to shoot just under 44% and didn't get much offensively beyond the Splash Brothers, who combined for 55 points. Post-game coverage underway here on NBA TV. Welcome in, everybody, inside a very loud Scotiabank Arena. Danny Green, part of the attack tonight on both sides. He's with us here immediately. I should introduce the other Hall of Famers on the set as well. Grant Hill, Isaiah Thomas, Charles Barkley. Not more important tonight, but important nonetheless. First of all, you've been through this before. Haven't been through it here. What was it like here tonight? The atmosphere was incredible.
The energy was amazing, man, and we needed it. You'll have a little 5-day break. They had a 10-day break. I think it was in our advantage. They might have been a little rusty. It doesn't look like it looking at the stat sheet. Steph and Clay got going, trying to limit them even more, but we got out and running and playing our type of basketball. A couple series have been different. Going big against Philly, having slowing down a little bit in Milwaukee. It's been hard to get back to our type of offense, but we got going, we got running. Pascal was at the rim, he was great for us, and everybody else kind of filled in, got some good uncontested looks.
Obviously, your shooting problems have been a discussion over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
4 of
tell me
23
about
in the
it.
Eastern Conference Finals. Everybody's been discussing it. You're an important part of the team, obviously, and so they
I try to be.
need to be out there. Shoot or shoot, right? That's what we hear over and over again. But when everybody's talking about it, it's got to be a relief to get this out of the way and get back to being you.
Definitely. I try not to think about it. My game, for me, where I hang my hat is the defensive end of the floor. Try to be active, try to chase those guys as best I can. Didn't do a great job tonight, but hopefully get better, get the rust off and do a better job communicating and rebounding. But, if I play defense, I know it'll fuel my offense and I'll make some shots when I get open.
Danny, every series that you guys have played, you've gotten better and better each game defensively. And as you said, your focus is on the defensive end. And you sit in that locker room, when you look around, you got 6 players, including yourself, that have been the first, second team all defensive players in the league. And then you got 2 who've been defensive players of the year. How does that make you feel on the defensive side when you know you have to get a stop or you can get a stop?
Oh, man, very comfortable. Knowing that when I'm pressuring a guy, I got those guys behind me with Mark, Kawhi, and Pascal up and coming, Kalo, those guys are amazing, man. But, whatever our scheme is, we figure it out, we adapt, we adjust, and, we make the right calls on the floor with each other. So having that defense out there is our foundation, and I think it helped a ton playing the teams that we played throughout the playoffs. We're battle-tested, and it prepared us for this moment.
You look at your team. You got a chance, obviously, Kawhi from San Antonio. Everybody, America's getting themselves a chance to see Siakam play now.
Yeah.
I mean, most people think he's going to be most improved. What has his growth been like for y'all team throughout the season?
As he should be. Obviously, he had a couple lulls here and there, but we knew he's a great player. He's going to get his confidence back, his rhythm back, especially against this team where there's not as much rim protection, where he's able to get to the rim. But his growth has been huge for us. And we're going to continue to need him to shoot the ball consistently and take his time, knock down that three, space the floor. Because in past playoff series, they kind of played off him and able, when we got a guy like Kawhi, it makes things easy. Everybody's going to be open. So we worry about the defense end of the floor. That guy worries about the offensive end of the floor. We figure it out. If they double him, we know where the ball is going. Everybody knows where it's going. They're going to double him, and we got to figure it out, play good basketball, move it, and find each other.
Danny talked about Kawhi Leonard, and throughout the playoffs, he's really at times carried you guys on the offensive end. He had a rather pedestrian game here tonight for his standards, but the rest of you guys stepped up. But you guys, throughout the regular season, stepped up. He was out of a lot of games, load management. You guys had played without him. Just talk about collectively as everyone else complimenting him, stepping up and playing big while he's kind of, I won't say struggled tonight, but wasn't having his superstar game.
Well, we know that teams are going to double him. They're not going to just let him keep killing them. They're going to throw different things at him, and he's finding ways to pick them apart. Get some assists, finding guys, offensive rebound, gets to the free throw line. But with him being out during the season, like I said, I go back to us being, battle tested and improving and maturing. Our younger guys getting a chance to show themselves, to get some confidence and play. And again, Patrick McCaw coming and give us great minutes. Norm, all those guys had a chance to show themselves throughout the season because when he was out, we had other guys step up.
Danny, when we look at this game, I thought defensively you guys were excellent in terms of the strategic moves that you made. I look at the stat sheet. Steph only got up 18 shots.
Only.
Clay only got up 17 shots. But when Durant is out, one of those guys would get up 20 to 25 shots.
For sure.
I mean, I thought the double teams were excellent. Did you guys focus on that coming into the game, or was it an adjustment that you made during the course of the game?
I think everybody in the world knows who the best shooters in the league are. And when KD is out, that their focus is to get those two guys the ball. No secret, you stop those two guys, you might have a chance of winning the game.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'd like to keep Steph off the free throw line, getting 14 free throws. That hurts us. But limiting their shots as much as possible, trying to deny them their touches. But and hopefully make them shoot tougher shots and a lower percentage. They shot pretty well for the most part. But we'll go back to the drawing board, watch some film, some clip, and see what we can figure out and do better defensively.
My last question for you is, tell us about Coach Nurse. He doesn't get a lot of credit. He's got you guys obviously in the finals. Tell us about Coach Nurse.
He's got to get the most credit for the growth of a Pascal Siakam, a Fred VanVleet, a Norman Powell. Those guys coming off the bench and be able to play confidently and aggressively. And I said Pascal being most improved is due to Nick and having given us the freedom throughout the season. He's let us all kind of do different things. There's never been a time you ever seen me post up, but I've posted up throughout the season once or twice, and I almost got it one time tonight. But he allows us to play a little different basketball and be free and be confident what we do.
Did you score when you posted up?
And a couple times, not many, a couple times during the season. A couple times.
Stick to the game plan. Shoot it. If you open, shoot it. Let it fly.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I got one other question for you. Last time you guys played this Golden State Warriors team, when you and Kawhi were together, you were with the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah.
Right? Before Kawhi gets hurt, you're up 25 in the third, and Kawhi goes down. Is there any revenge factor in both of your guys' mind about, hey, we know how to play against these guys, we had them, and now we want to get another shot at playing against them again?
Small part of it in the back of our minds, but I think it's everybody in the league wants to beat them. They're the champions, regardless of what happened in the past. These guys have won 3 or 4 times. They've been here 5 times. So, and it's not going to be easy. We got to take it from them. We're not going to. They're not going to give it to us. So, regardless of what's happened in the past, obviously we know in the back of our minds we had a shot, and it would have been nice to see, or interesting to see, if he would have been healthy, how that series would have went. But we want to be champions again. We want to be the last team standing. In order to do so, we got to stay healthy and hopefully continue to play and not get too happy. These guys, they've been here before. They've been down before. They've been down in many games. They always come back. They've been down in series. We can't get fat and happy and be satisfied. They're still cool, calm, and collected, and we have to be focused.
Yeah, Dan, I was just going to say, you've been on this stage before. You've won a championship before. To the guys in your locker room who have not been on this stage, what do you say after a big game like this in preparation for the next game 2?
I just tell them, this is one, and we didn't do anything yet. We're just protecting home court. We still have to protect it. We have another game where we have to protect home court, especially against this team, of how talented they are and how good they are at home as well. We can't let them sneak in and take one from our building.
Congratulations on finding the stroke.
Thank you.
On finding your way to the table, because you're a winner tonight in a 1-0 lead. Great atmosphere. Danny Green, we appreciate your time here tonight.
Thank you, guys.
Let's get inside. Nick Nurse has made it to the podium after a Game 1 finals win. Nurse inside. We talked pregame about this Warriors streak of Game 1 wins, which stood at 12 before the night began, and the Raptors' woeful history in Game 1s in any round of the playoffs, 3-15 all time. All that has been reversed now.
I told you it works against you now.
It could. I mean, eventually it's going to, but I thought the place was nuts. If you were here for the anthem, it was really like tingles down your spine kind of stuff. Well, they handled the emotion. They played really smart.
That's because they got a cyborg out there with them. Listen, they followed this young man. Siakam was obviously the key to the game tonight. But as we talked about in the pregame, when you have, like Danny Green just said, he says, oh, we feel pretty good. We got Kawhi.
Yeah.
When you have a guy like that, he lifts air like, oh, we can beat anybody, because 99.9% of the time we're going to have the best player in the game. anytime you have the best player in the game, you have a chance.
Yep.
So Kawhi gives them a certain amount of confidence. The other guys feed off it. His crowd was amazing. You know, he talked about how Coach Nurse, and I've said this before, there are a lot of coaches who don't give you confidence. They take your confidence away. Like when you make a mistake, they snatch you out the game. And that builds up, and it gets in your head. Danny Green said that. We didn't even ask him that question. He said, Coach Nurse, he gives us that freedom. He empowers us, and that was awesome to hear.
But remember, Nick Nurse ran a play for him in overtime in the Eastern Conference Finals when he was, again, 4 of 23 from three-point range. That really does inspire confidence.
Well, they were up 25 when they did it, though.
Well, it was in overtime.
I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
They were so good and so smart in the first quarter of the game when they really seized control, and Kawhi hadn't even played that well to that point. Is that a testament to some of the veteran guys on this team? Does it say something about maybe rust from the Warriors' point of view? They had that long layoff. How did you view that?
I mean, look, the Warriors scored 109 points, so I mean they came out and did a decent job. But you have to tip your hat to Toronto, and the narrative was, okay, they haven't been on this stage before. This franchise has come up short. But the bottom line, as you said, you have veterans. You got Danny Green, who was he's been in finals. He's hit big shots in the NBA finals. Marc Gasol has been in the conference finals.
Yeah.
You know, you have guys, Kyle Lowry has experience. I mean, these guys aren't young players. Obviously, Siakam is a young player and played fantastic tonight. But collectively, as a group, you have experience. And maybe not the same exact experience in terms of what Golden State's done. But they came out, they weren't phased. There was emotion here in the building. There was a lot of buildup and excitement leading into this game. And they came out and took care of business. They came out like they were the defending champs.
Right.
And really sent a message, punched him in the mouth, and just as impressive of a performance that I've seen them have in the postseason, which is saying a lot because they've had some really good games leading up to this one.
They were great defensively, and I thought appropriately aggressive offensively. Like when Golden State either doubled or shaded toward Kawhi Leonard, they made the right play, whether it was the first pass or the second pass, and Siakam never hesitated. Whether the shot was easy or hard, he went for it all night long, and obviously he was knocking him down.
Yeah, you know, Siakam, you know, we're talking about him being the most improved player in the league, and offensively in college at New Mexico State, he was a really good offensive player. And this is not, abnormal. This is what he's capable of doing. I thought they read the defensive schemes correctly. Whenever Golden State trapped Kawhi, they found a way to get Siakam the basketball. And Draymond Green, who normally plays like a middle linebacker, reading everything, he plays off people. I didn't think that he gave Siakam enough respect early in the game. Consequently, Siakam got open. And once he got confidence, he really got to roll him.
Yeah.
And once he got to roll him, right, now you watch him here, he's getting wide open warm-up threes. And these are the type of things that really get you going. He's open in transition, great transition player, finishes at the rim, get down, left hand finish, right hand finish around the basket. And once he starts doing this stuff, right, now you got the Euro. I thought when Draymond tried to shut him down, Siakam had got too much confidence and it was difficult for him to stop. And he ended up, 14 to 17 from the field.
Wow.
And when you go 14 to 17 from the field in a championship playoff game, Charles, you know this, you're doing some good. Not only are you on fire, but you might stay on fire because, that confidence that stays with you for a long time in the finals.
But what's interesting about this series obviously got a long way to go. I'm looking at this stat sheet, and I talked about before the game, where are the Warriors going to get their points from? Where are they going to get their points from without KD? I mean, I'll give you Clay and Steph. Sure. I'll give them 30. I'll give them 35. That's only 70. Like, all these other guys are good players, but they're not scorers.
Right.
So you got to wonder, how are they going to score enough points to beat this team 4 times in a week? And I thought one of the reasons I picked the Raptors was because of that. Like I say, Clay and Steph got to play like hell's out You know, they got to go. They got to ball. They got to do it.
They got to play like what?
They got to like the house. Well, I want to get a little ghetto on you, but I don't want to hurt you. I know you ain't never been to the ghetto.
What was that phrase?
You got. You
it
grew
played
up
like what?
Well, I want to say another
No, just
phrase.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank
Go ahead.
Matt,
You good.
Matt,
You good.
Stop it.
You good. Go.
Stop it, Ernestine Johnson.
Keep making your point. You good.
Thank you. But you know, you wonder because you look at all these other guys. There's no guy on this list that you say he can get me 20.
Well, there's a guy, but he only played 8 minutes tonight because he's coming from an injury. DeMarcus Cousins.
Oh, he's not going to get 20 this series.
No, not this series.
No. Hey, listen, I have a rule on I call it the Michael Jordan theory. Michael Jordan came back in the playoffs and couldn't do it. Nobody can do it. He can't. Like, you don't just walk off the street and just play against
after
NBA
6 weeks.
After 6 weeks, because obviously, if there's something wrong with your legs, you ain't running in conditioning. As you notice, if you watch the game, and I be watching for solo things, he was trying to pass the ball.
He was.
Like, he wasn't trying to make that move because these guys know it takes a lot of energy to try to score in the NBA. And he was conserving his energy. He's like, I'm gonna make passes.
He only took 2 shots in 8 minutes.
And both of those were like little jumpers.
Yep.
Because he didn't want to extend his energy level.
Right.
Well, I agree with you, Chuck. I mean, scoring is going to be a problem, and maybe they have to shift their strategy in the sense that they're going to have to focus on their defense. And I thought tonight they had such an emphasis on Kawhi Leonard that the rest of the guys were open and they took advantage of it. And I don't know, maybe you stay at home with the Danny Greens and the Gasols and you play Kawhi straight up.
Do you make Kawhi prove his legs are healthy?
I think so. Maybe that's the adjustment you have to make if you're Golden State. Because, look, you're right. They may not be able to go out and score 120, 130. It may be, okay, hover around 100, 110, and let's shore things up on the defensive end. Because I agree, offensively, I don't know if they can match this type of scoring effort from Toronto that we saw here in Game 1.
By the way, what year is this? The Golden State can't score?
I know, it sounds crazy.
What's going on here?
No, it doesn't sound crazy. I mean, if you –
I completely get it. With this team, the way they are right now,
if you
with who's not there.
But over the last 4 or 5 years, you haven't heard that.
Yeah, but you haven't heard that because
team is different.
You're missing 35 points.
No, I get it.
But
we haven't heard that throughout this run under Steve Kerr.
Yeah,
but this Toronto team defensively, and
Great.
we've said it all year, this is one of the best defensive teams that this Golden State Warriors teams have ever placed in the playoffs and in the finals in these last 5 years. I mean, again, we talk about they got 6 guys, possibly 7, going to be first, second team all defensive players in this league. And when you're looking at, Golden State, right now they got Steph, they got Clay, and you see the defenders that are,
and a bunch of Tito Jacksons.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to score against this Toronto team, and it's going to get increasingly more difficult as this series goes on. As we saw when they played against Cleveland, and they were up against Cleveland 3-1. What Cleveland did, they slowed the tempo down. They got better defensively, and that's what we saw here tonight with Toronto. Toronto slowed the tempo down. I mean, Golden State, they only got up 78 attempts. I mean, this is a team that normally is in the high 80s, right? They get 78 attempts tonight, and this is the style of play that they're going to have to play. And I think Toronto is better at this tempo, defensively and offensively, at this tempo than Golden State is.
They're 12th out of the 16 playoff teams in terms of pace of play. This is exactly the way they want to play. And what you guys are saying here, and it's easy to overreact after one game. We do this every year, right? But what you're saying doesn't bode well for the Warriors right now because, again, Cousins is not going to be DeMarcus Cousins. It doesn't appear during this series. We don't know when or if Kevin Durant is going to play at all. And the Warriors' defense, going back to the regular season and into this postseason, has never been what it was the previous 4 years.
Yeah, the defense is more on reputation. I don't want to say the defense is not good, but like you said, it's not as strong as it has been in years past. But as you were saying, Isaiah, this is why you miss a Durant, because as great as a Curry and Klay Thompson are, and they are fantastic, but they're not the kind of guys you just give them the ball and say, go get a basket.
No.
Yeah.
Durant was that guy,
Yep.
like a Kawhi Leonard, who you can give him the ball ISO and he can go get you a basket. I know people may say, what are you talking about, Steph Curry? But Steph needs movement. He needs screen and rolls. And so he needs cooperation in that regard. Durant, he could bail them out. When they couldn't get the scoring going, you give him the basketball. He's going to get to the mid-range, get to the free throw line, hit tough shots with his length, and they don't have that right now, which is troublesome.
I think that sometimes there's a lot of really good players in the NBA. All NBA players can play, but there's only a handful of guys where you say, "Hey, here's the ball. Get me a good shot, a basket, or a foul."
Right.
Those are three things a superstar can get you. He might miss the shot, but he gonna get his shot.
Yeah.
He gonna score or he gonna get fouled. It's gonna be one of those three. And I tell people, there's very few guys can do that.
Especially at this level.
At this level.
The NBA Finals,
Well, because you're playing against Kawhi Leonard.
Right.
Siakam, Danny Green, who's a hell of a defender, Marc Gasol, who's a hell of a defender. But there's very few guys in the NBA you can say, hey, here's the ball, get me a basket.
To your point,
Charles, here's where, you know, the analytics and the stats are misleading when they say, hey, Golden State passes more and the ball moves more when Durant's not in the game, right? Here's why that happens. Because when Durant is playing, you'll make 1, 2, 3 passes, and when it gets to him, it's a bucket,
exactly right?
It's a bucket.
It's a good shot,
right?
at least.
Yeah.
So analytics says, well, you made 3 passes and you got a shot. Now, when Durant's not here, guess what? You got to pass it 5, 6, 7 times before you get a basket.
Right, more passing is not always a good thing.
Well,
Isaiah, analytics, look, Golden State had 29 assists tonight. Toronto had 25.
Yes.
they still lost Golden State.
So my point is, again,
you can make the numbers say what you want to.
Yeah, and when it hits him at the 3rd pass, it's a bucket.
Right.
But when it doesn't, when he's not there, you got to make 5, 6 passes to get a bucket. And when you make 5, 6 passes, analytics say, well, you pass the ball more when Durant's not here.
Yes.
Well, of course you do. It's like when Magic was playing with Kareem, right? You throw it into Kareem, it's a bucket.
It's a bucket.
Yep.
Right?
Well, and to your point about creating shots, there was a play down here, I think in the 3rd quarter, where Klay Thompson had to dribble like 4 times. That never happens, right? That never, ever happens because he was scrambling to get away from, I think it was Siakam on him at the time. We're going to take you inside against Steve Kerr at the podium after a rare, almost unprecedented Game 1 loss.